Chapter 57. The sky turned pale as white feathers flew above my head. Bells rang, doves flew, and the big wooden doors opened just in time of my entry. Nakatingin man ang mga mata sa akin, nakangiti naman ako na lumalakad. Hindi na alintana ang pamamayagpag ng puting bestida sa aking likuran. As a child, this place gave me peace and meaning. Peace from the sincerity and meaning from the troubles that I brought into it. It wasn't any different now that I grew up. The world was nothing to me if not for these places. The ones you run to after a long, tiring day, or the ones you do not fail to remember while enjoying a hot summer day at the beach. This place, although simpler and much less extravagant, was the closest to my heart. And what's even better was that you can have multiple special occasions in it, so it becomes even more special, like today. You're so pretty, ate. I wish I could be like you when I grow up, sabi ni Justine. I'm sure you'd be prettier and smarter, teen. I waved and laughed. Patuloy ang aking paglalakad. Kamakailang bati ang ginawa ko sa mga bisita sa bahay habang pumupunta kung saan naroon si Papa. My favorite person and place. Nagpahanda kasi ako ng salo-salo 1 linggo makalipas nang maiuwi ko na siya. He's bored to death and wanted to socialize a bit, so I took that opportunity to throw him a mini intimate party for his speedy recovery. Saan ka ba nanggaling? Everybody's looking for you, Chris, asked my father when I kissed his cheek. He's looking better and better each and every day. Ngumiti ako sa kanya. I needed to pick up some cake. Sinundo ko na rin si Kuya sa Kapitolyo. Nagtatrabaho na naman. Again? With work, Vic? Nako ha. Justice. Baka hindi na trabaho ang inaatupag niyang asawa mo. It's a Sunday today and look where he is. Si Tito Bernard na kinantsawan pa ng ilan naming mga tito. Kumaway ako kay Kuya Vic nang magkatitigan kami. I began to arrange plates to be used later. Tito, trust me when I say 4 girls are already a handful. I have enough already. Work is just an innocent habit. And my kuya got it from this one. Just look at him. I pointed at my papa who was shaking his head beside me. Malaking-malaki ang mga ngiti ko habang pinagmamasdan ang kanya. Kumikintab ang mga mata at nakikipag-akbayan sa mga kapatid. My heart ached at the thought that I wanted so bad to take away my memory of him on death's bed. With the machines and needles on his body, but it was imprinted there forever. Hindi na malilimot pa. All right, I couldn't deny that one. He tapped my head and murmured something. It's a good thing that Arjun had already settled his project. It will be a help, great help, Victor. Yes, Tito, sagot naman ang kuya ko. Praises rained to Arjun's corner. Hiyang-hiya si Melody dahil pati siya ay nakakantsawan. Mabuti na lamang, Chris, na hindi ka nagmana sa mommy mo. She's good in howling supporters for the elections, but that's just it. Tita naman, I grimaced. I remembered Mara was one of your first biggest sponsors on your first campaign, Nick. Mga bata pa tayo noon, di ba? Napataas naman ang aking kilay nang dumako ang tingin kay Papa. Tumingin lamang ito sa aking tiyuhin. Tumagilid ang aking ulo. Sabay na panguso. And she's the most beautiful back then. Indeed, right? If it wasn't enough, Tito Bernard had to smirk to my poor Papa. Halos suntukin ko ang pagmumukha ni Tito Bernard na sinabayan pa ng iba ko pang mga tito at tita. How my parents first met when they were all just teenagers and free of their spouses and children. I couldn't help but to imagine that there came a time when everything was in place for both of younger versions of themselves, him and her against the world. Masaya lamang sa isa't isa at wala nang iniisip pang iba kung hindi ang pagmamahalan nila. each must be the love of their lives back then. Naghiwalay ng mga bata pat bumalik matapos ang ilang taon ngunit naging mali. I didn't know what I'd do if I ever lost the love of my life. Bahagyang sumakit ang aking dibdib ngunit umakbay na lamang sa aking ama. They said, love finds a way, but maybe it finds a way not towards our most beloved but to a better version of ourselves instead. Because love doesn't condemn, it trusts and stays honest. Love knows when it does not always have to stay. So, for my love to stay this way, I would be grateful for all eternity into the heavens up above. I promise to fight on the difficult times, but I also promise to surrender the heartaches. Not just for security of my heart, but also to the many versions of love that went wrong and had to leave. Sa buhay na ito ay nasunod ako at ibinigay na sa akin. Hindi ko yun bibiguin at sasayangin dahil baka sa ibang buhay ay hindi na ako ganito kaswerte. Hanggang kaya ko at hanggang tama ay paglalaban ko. Your mom's company is basically broke without you, Iha. Nako, kung ako ang asawa mo ay hindi ako susunod sa'yo. I can't believe you've asked that of him, my tita snided. And you've let your daughter, Nick? Pinasal ba mo pa talaga si Namara? Mabait ka pa rin pala, ano? Ang tita ko pa rin. That's enough. Let's enjoy the dinner, ani Papa sa mga nangangantsaw sa amin. Nakisali na lamang ako sa kanilang mga kwentuhan. Sa bawat pasaring nila ay nagtitingin na lamang kami. Si Papa, panay ang kaguluhan ni na Arjun at Justin kaya naman mas lalong nabuhay ang dinner para kay Papa. Kaya sayang-saya ako habang nakikita siyang nakangiti at kumakain kasama ang pamilya. Like the heavy flow of waterfall from years of drought was the life after a near death. Hindi iyon isang panaginip dahil kung totoong nangyari yon ay mas totoong nalampasan namin yon. My place was safe and happily eating his sugar-friendly cake. Sobrang sinwerte ko na yata sa buhay na ito dahil isa-isa nang dinidinig ang mga panalangin ko. The cake tastes so good. Here, taste it. Punong-puno ang bibig ni Arjun habang inaaya si Melody. Hindi naman para sa'yo yan, kuya eh. That's for people with health problems. I'm gonna pretend we didn't hear that one, Justin. The older generations laughed. Pumangulumbaba na lamang ako. Ang magaling na si Arjun ay sinadya pa talaga ngayon din ipakilala ang kauna-unahang babaeng sineryoso niya. Melody. The girl with the chinky eyes and button nose was stiff as a tree and eyes wide as a saucer. But nevertheless, pretty. Kung yun ang gusto ng pinsan ko, despite all of her flaws that I might have yet to see, then to hell with it if his mother didn't even offer a handshake. Tita! Tita! Why is there a cake? Is it someone's birthday? Ang isa ko pang pamangkin na kumandong sa akin. No, Agot. I'm just happy to see everyone here. Also, cakes makes everything even better, don't you think? Even better. Her tiny hands hug my neck. Yeah. I look at the little chaos my family made in our indoor garden. The cake was now being cut in half by Arjun while Beth was sneaking out again. Romina tries to outwit my titas and titos while my brother has a space of his own with his wife and my papa who was here, very much here, celebrating with us. Even better, I hug Agot more. Naiuwi na namin si Papa pagkaraan ng mga ilang araw sa ospital. Mas lumakas na siya at may gana na kumain pero maingat pa rin ako. Gusto kong baguhin ang ayos ng kanyang room at ang kitchen. He already backed out of the election as per advice. My brother filed instead. As for me, classes had already started. Papa was against me transferring back here in Cebu. Ayoko siyang iwan mag-isa rito. Dahil sa Manila ang school ko pero mapilit siya. Nakaya na niya. I made it to a point that I spend my weekends here, no matter how impractical and exhausting it sounds to him. Kinabukasan ay maaga ang aking alis pabalik ng Maynila. You're looking better and better each day, Chris, smiled Sian as we boarded the plane. I rolled my eyes at him. Yun ay siguro pati rin ako yung nagkaroon ng recovery mula sa mga nangyari. How can she not be, Sian? She's with the love of her life almost every day. Ani Beth sa aking gilid na sumabay na rin. How about you then? Sino namang pupuntahan mo sa Manila? I smirk at her flushed expression. Humalakhak na lamang kami ni Sian. Bahala siya kung kailan niya ihaharap si Carlos pero kukuhanin ko na yun para may partner si Beth kapag nagmarcha na patungong altar. Pagkarating namin sa Manila ay dumiretso na ako kagad sa kondo. Nagpahinga ako roon saglit dahil bukas pa naman ang pasok ko. I wore a yellow sundress when I got out, talking to Romina inside my phone. What do you think, Mina? This one? I sent her the screenshot of a brochure. Or this one? Then I sent another. Tumagilid ang aking ulo habang tinitingnan ang intricate details nito sa mga gilid. Ang sabi nila, mas detalyado ay mas maganda. Mukhang totoo naman, pero gusto ko pa rin yata yung simple lang. I like the second one. Thank you very much. Pero hindi ba mukhang daring yan? Backless at sleeveless? Baka sabihin naman ng mga bisita, hindi ka na mukhang virgin. I laughed out loud as I readjusted my AirPods. White for purity is enough for me. Ayoko na ng long sleeves at turtleneck. That's so not me. Where is he anyway? Why don't you ask him? Tanong ni Romina. Napatigil ako saglit nang tumingala sa gilid at napaisip. Romina, bawal yun. It's tradition. Marami na nga akong ginawang bawal, pati ba ang tradisyon ay hindi ko na rin susundin. Modernized na ang panahon ngayon. Some people don't do it anyway. It's not like you're ruining it. You're only asking for his opinion. Bawal nga sabi. And also, where's the element of surprise in that, Sagot ko. Baka hindi na yun magulat kapag nagmarcha na ako at hindi pa maiyak dahil hindi na bago sa paningin niya ang damit. Nakaramdam ako ng excitement at kaba sa parehong pagkakataon. What would be his expression at that time? Napapalatak si Romina sa screen. Kita ko ang pawisan niyang noo habang nag-workout sa treadmill. But if you think about it, he wouldn't really care. Huhubaran ka rin naman niya, so kahit basahan pa ang isuot mo, if you really think of it, okay lang sa kanya. Oh my goodness, Romina! I giggled at the thought. My cheeks reddened. Ganun ba talaga? Yun, sa mindset? If it was me, would I not think of how dashing he'll look like in maybe an Americana or a barong? Would I think getting it off first and not appreciate how neat and sharp he'd look like? Sa isip ko. Habang naglalakad ay napatigil ako at nagpalingalinga sa parking lot. I squinted my eyes only to see a white SUV parked nearby. The driver already hopping off the shiny vehicle. I'm just being honest, dear cousin. Trust me, sabi pa ni Romina. Bawal yun. Only to see the dress if it's the actual day. My words flew off. While his powerful stance was unmistakable as he got out of the car. Dark eyes met mine almost frantically, walking towards me with a sneer only he could pull off as an evil and an angel. He looked immaculately and sinfully good in his casual white long sleeves and dark maong pants. Pinagmamasdan ako ay tumagilid ang aking ulo. You're out early, I pouted. He towered over me so I was forced to crane my neck. Our first meeting finished earlier than I thought. Sumakto naman ang dating ko rito. Spying on me? Sabi ko. Hindi naman. Mabuti na lang at naabutan kita. You ready to go out? Sagot niya. I don't believe you. You spy! Pinandilatan ko ito ng mga mata. He looked menacing when he crouched low to look at me like I was some delicious, ridiculous ant in his food. His white fangs showed before laughing maniacally. Napaawang ang aking bibig habang nakatayo. Unbelievable, this man. Napatingin pa ako sa ibang pwesto kung nasaan ang mga taong nakikinig sa parking lot. What were you looking at? Napairap ako sa ere. Do I really look that bored for you to think I have nothing better to do? To spy? Silly girl? Jerome exclaimed while laughing. Hindi ako naniniwala sa'yo, lalo na sa kuya mo. Maybe he asked you to spy on me again, huh? Again? Again! As if he couldn't believe the words while he led me to his parked SUV. Wala na lamang akong nagawa ng malagyan ng seatbelt sa loob. Habang naglalakbay sa kalakhan ng abalang metro ay panay ang inis ko pa rin kay Jerome. I never failed to remind him every day of his precious job that was to spy on me. Ang masasamang mga balak ng kanyang nakakatandang kapatid sa akin. He couldn't deny it since it was what all he did during his stay in Cebu. So, you went on a meeting? I remembered his words earlier. Nang makarating sa shop ay kaagad na itong humanap ng pwestong uupuan. Habang ako naman ay pinalilibutan ng mga stylist and fashion designers. His long legs were sprawled out on the couch, so he mostly distracts everyone in the room. Uh-huh. Surprised, dear sister? He sipped on a milkshake. I shivered at his new endearment to me. Napaisip naman ako saglit. Nakatayo sa gitna ng kwarto, ang iilang mga tela ay nilulukob sa akin. Bakit? Anong pumasok sa isip mo para magtrabaho na ulit? Tanong ko. Kuya asked me since he will be mostly working at home. Pupunta pa rin naman daw siya sa mga importanteng meetings but I'll assume he's post as soon as possible. Sounds responsible, right? Mukhang proud na proud ito sa sarili. I might have heard a swoon or two inside the room. Napanguso ako ngunit nangingiti na rin. Well, I won't keep him much from his duties so you can walk away free. Pero, totoo ngang mukhang responsable kang kapatid sa mga sinabi mo. Sabi ko. I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. Thank you very much. Sagot niya. Huwag kang mag-alala. Sasabihan ko si Romina na bigyan ka ng advices dahil siya rin ay nagsisimula na sa kumpanya nila. Malapit lang yata yun sa main office ng kuya mo. Napatuwid ng upo si Jerome sa sinabi ko. Tumango-tango ito sa akin ngunit hindi ako matingnan. I just shrugged my shoulders while the designers took my measurements. The fitting took a lot longer than I thought. Humingi na lamang ako ng pasensya kay Jerome na siyang sumama sa akin dahil walang available. Si Beth ay nag-out of town kasama si Engineer Carlos habang si Romina naman ay naiwan sa bahay. Nag-meetings pa kami about sa gusto kong design and soon to meet again for the motif. Goodbye, Mrs. Tiamiano. Ang gwapo po talaga ng asawa niyo. Bagay na bagay. A staff called while we're going out. Panay ang turo niya sa katabi ko, nangisi lamang ang sagot. Halos sapakin ko ang dibdib niya, ngunit kumiti na lamang ako sa staff at nagpaalam. We better get going, Mrs. Diamiano. Your fiancé's throwing a fit already. Nilabas ni Jerome ang teleponong puro missed calls. He's smirking so wide already. Yeah, let's go. Sabi ko na lang. Ngunit hindi ko ito makastigo nang pagbuksan na niya ako ng pinto upang makaalis na sa shop. That was the first time someone called me that. It's just been a few weeks after all. Hindi pa yun masiksik sa utak ko kahit na tuloy-tuloy ang mga preparations na ginagawa. My heart felt like flying. My tummy fluttering with thousands of butterflies in it. I couldn't quite feel my body, but I was sure that my cheeks started to redden. Dahil ang sarap sa pakiramdam. Pakiramdam ko ay sasabog ako sa tuwa. Punong-puno ako ng ngiti. Nababaliw na yata ako. Ilang minuto rin ay nakarating na kami sa destinasyon. Ang matayog na building sa aking harapan ay tila ba kay hirap akyatin. I squinted my eyes to look at the very top, squishing the view by my thumb and index finger. There he is. Good morning, sir, madam, bati ng mga nasasalubong naming employees. Morning. Jerome waved slightly. We reached the top floors. Dire-diretso ang pasok namin ni Jerome pagkatapos makausap ang isang sekretarya. The double doors opened, revealing the businessman in the middle of the presentation. Mrs. Diamiano, ang kanilang mga bati. I nodded to each and every one of them, slightly feeling my lips tremble when I made my way towards the vacant seat near the center. I looked up, but it felt like I was looking up at the heavens. Gab nodded to Jerome before turning to the representative in front. You may proceed, he commanded. Bago pa man nakaupo ay humawak muna si Gab sa aking bewang. I smiled proudly at him. Gab just shook his head, serving me the wicked smile that was only meant for me. Chapter 58. Pagkatapos ng ilang meetings ay dumiretso na muna ako sa opisina ni Gab. Dark colors swam in its elements and spaces as the rugged modernism farther extended in his wooden sleek shelves and spacious desk. Unang beses ko pa lamang rito ay napuri ko na kaagad ang arkitekto. Ang agaw pansin ay ang bahaging pinakatanaw ang kalakhan ng buong syudad. Everyone seemed too busy from the view up here. Hindi tumitigil at hindi namamahinga. I figured, there's not much difference from down there to up here. I tried to decipher my thoughts while standing just on this spot. Kung ako ba ang may-ari ng isang napakalaking imperyo, paano ba ang gagawin ko? At kung ayaw na sa akin ng babaeng mahal na mahal ko, paano rin ba ang gagawin ko? How does a man who has everything thinks? Parte ba ako ng mga naiisip niya tuwing nakatayo siya rito? This must be the spot where Gab stood for how many times and how many reasons, be it a big problem in the company or just a little inconvenience. Kung naiisip niya ba ako habang nakatayo rito abala ang mga sasakyan sa ibaba o kapag naman malalim na ang gabi at halos wala ng mga tao. Did he think of me in the middle of signing something? Did he think of me still during his meetings? What could be the average time a person could think of another in 24 hours? Bahagya na lamang akong napatawa habang nakatayo pa rin nag-iisip. Napailing na lamang ako. Wala pa man din si Gab dahil may didinggin pang ilang meetings. This was his main office, after all. Ang mga ilang view na dati ay sa screen ko lamang nakikita ay nahahawakan ko na ngayon. He probably spends his time here more than his real home. Dito rin ang madalas na view niya habang naka-video call ako sa gabi tuwing weekends. My fingertips glided on top of the black leather sofa as I walked towards the little pendulum sitting on top of his wide wooden desk. It was the only decor there and it seemed to me in his whole office. Umupo ako sa kanyang swivel chair habang tinitingnan ang kanyang lamesa. Not so much stuff. Only a bunch of pen, laptop, and organizer. But it also seemed to me there's another decor aside from the pendulum. You look kind of weird here, don't you? Maingat kong itinaas ang katamtamang size na picture frame. It looked weird sitting on the corner of his desk, alone. In my honest opinion, she could do better in this photo. She looked kinda ugly. Do I look that ugly? Ngumuso ako habang nakasandal at bagyang umiikot-ikot. Baka kung sa ibang anggulo kinuha ay baka maayos pa. Bakit ba kasi ikaw ang narito? Kausap ko ang picture frame. I look so young here. Full of muta but also full of hope. For some reasons, I could not get mad or even annoyed. Gaano man kapangit ang tingin ko sa sarili kong ito ay nakangiti lamang ako habang nagpapaikot-ikot sa upuan. God must think of me once or twice a day because of this. Napatigil ako sa ginagawa ng bumukas ang mga pinto. Pumasok na si Gab kasunod ang kanyang secretary. Pareho ay may dalang mga pagkain. Thank you, Mariah, aniya sa secretary bago ito umalis. I waved at his trembling little secretary when she looked at me. Napanguso na lamang ako nang makaalis ito at naiwan kaming dalawa ni Gab. He was still busy fixing the table for us while I sat on the chair. It was an amusing sight. Gab, the very owner of this entire building and many more, was preparing food for me. Pumangulumbaba na lamang ako habang pinagmamasdan siya. His hands moved in precision and grace, while his body language was illegally dominating. He was still on his suit, and my, his dark hair was slicked back to perfection, making his jaw more prominent and his brows more defined. Nang dumating ang oras ng kanyang pagtatapos, ay hinarap na ako. I almost wanted to sulk. Sorry to keep you waiting. I brought chocolates for you. Anya at lumapit na sa akin. Tumingala ako nang makalapit na ito sa aking pwesto. Kahit paunti-unti na siyang yumuko para maabot ako ay nakatingala pa rin ako. I almost wanted to bury my head in his chest upon smelling his clean, spicy cologne. What have you been up to? His head tilted a bit as he tried to give me a kiss. Nothing? Ngisi ko habang iniiwas ang pisngi. That doesn't sound like nothing. What did you do? Nang makahabol ang kanyang mga labi ay napanguso na lamang ako. Bring me that chocolate and then maybe I can tell you. Tinurok ang lamesang kanyang inayos kanina. Tinaasan ako ito ng kilay ngunit ngumisi na lamang at umiling. I remember the times that I was the one who did this for him and for other people back then. An idea came to mind. Maybe after being so busy and all. I watched him retreat and bring me the pyramid of chocolates. Tuwang-tuwa ako nang ilapag niya yun sa harapan ko. Ginto at brown ang kulay ng mabangong tsokolate. Gusto ko man sigurong ubusin lahat yon ay baka sumakit ang tiyan ko. Now, what is it? Spoiled brat? He said as he watched me trying to open one piece. Nakatayo pa rin si Gab habang ako ay nakaupo at kumakain. Nang maisubo ko na ang buo ay ngumiti ako sa kanya. I stood up to get water to flush it out but when I got back, he was the one sitting. Madaya. What is it, Chris? Mischief gleamed in his eyes that I was suddenly reminded that this was his territory. Imbis na pansinin ko ito ay kumuha na naman ako ng isa pang bubuksan na tsokolate. Habang pinipilit yung buksan ay umupo ako sa kanyang mga hita. Gab froze a bit. Then relaxed later on. Nang makagatan ang isang piraso ay pinakain ko sa kanya ang kalahati. I was going to get another one but his large calloused hands stopped me. Dapat pala hindi na muna kita kinuhanan. Uubusin mo yata lahat yan bago mo ako kausapin. He chuckled on my ear a bit. Hinarap ko ito at tinantay ang isang kamay sa kanyang balikat. His face was soon zooming in, giving me yet another sweet, sweet kiss. I tasted the chocolates on my mouth and on his. That tasted even better. Let's do it again. Ngisi ko sa kanya sabay kuha na naman ng isa pang piraso ngunit malakas na ang kanyang tawa nang bawalin ako. But it's yummier that way. Just another one and we'll stop. Chris? His tone held a light warning, but just to be sure, I moved my hips a bit. His hands were fast to stop me. Napanguso ako ngunit sa likod ng utak ko ay punong-puno na ako ng kababalaghan. How about if I'm already married? Oh my goodness, I won't last a day. I tried to move again but he pinned me to him until I was squirming. Fine! Ayaw mo rin akong pakainin at ayaw mo rin akong pagalawin. Alam mo ba kung anong ginawa ko kanina? Hindi pa, so tell me please. Halos bumulong ito. Inabot ko ang aking picture frame sa gilid ng buong pusong pinakita sa kanya. I felt him nod. His hands loosened in its hold. The other rested on my waist, while the other on my thigh. So, you found my little treasure. I still can't believe I afforded that kind after years and years of searching. Your treasure kinda looks weird here and kinda ugly too. Maganda ba to? Maganda. He deeply breathed. I giggled at his response to my fishing off a compliment. Mukhang pangit eh. Mukhang hindi rin marunong magluto. She's very beautiful and I'm sure she can cook a dish or two. The other dishes, ako na ang mamomblema. And if she wants to learn, then she will. Mas humigpit pa ang kanyang yakap sa akin. Yabang? Is this the only picture here or are there other treasures here that I have yet to find? Tanong ko. Yan pa lang, pero baka lagyan ko pa maybe another picture of her to see how much of a grown woman she is now. Sagot niya. I look back at the picture, batang-bata, nasa pagitan ng paggising at pagtulog sa kama. I couldn't tell if I was aware of the camera at the moment. Pamilyar ang kulay ng mga silid sa corner at ang mga kalakihan ng damit na aking suot. Or maybe when the time comes, we'll put a little version of her here. Or a little version of you? Malambing kong saad. Aha, maybe 4 or 5. How many do you want? Tanong niya. Mas lalong lumalalim ang boses ni Gab at mas lalong nagiging taimtim at payapa. He found my fingers and intertwined it just on top of my tummy. Hindi ko maiwasan na aabot kami sa puntong pag-uusapan namin to. I mean, hindi ko akalaing siya pa ang unang makakapag-isip sa aming dalawa. Maybe it was his voice, full of promises that suddenly made the room spin. Uminit ang sulok ng mga mata ko kasabay ng pagtawa. 1 or 2 would be fine. I laughed again with my unshed tears. Suddenly, I thought of a more serious matter at hand. I figured it was easier to put it this way. What if she chooses her career first? Papaano kung ayaw muna niyang magpakasal at magkaanak dahil gusto muna niyang tapusin ang pag-aaral? I looked at the picture, my little hands still holding the picture frame. Naramdaman ko ang kanyang paghinga sa ibabaw ng aking ulo. Halos isandal ko na ang likod sa kanyang taas-babang dibdib. I bit my lips in anticipation. I will support her at everything she does, even if it means we'll marry in the next 5 years or so. But, just as she knows, sa aming mga kamay ay hinawakan ni Gab ang aking singsing. I closed my eyes as he hugged me even tighter. But just as she knows, our engagement will never be called off. I will wait patiently as she achieves her goals in life. Nang hindi ko na kinaya ay hinarap ko na ito. Punong-puno ng mahabaging ekspresyon ang mga mata ni Gab. I held his neck while I rested my head on his chest. Paano naman kung gusto na niyang magpakasal ngayong araw? Kahit wala pa ang halos lahat ng kailangan. I smiled at the thought. That can be arranged too. He chuckled a bit. Seems like your treasures got you wrapped in her little fingers. Umahon ako at hinarap siyang muli. She's spoiled baby girl, that's why, sagot niya. But you love her anyway. Tanong ko. I love her, and I will love her in any way that I can, and will continue to do until time stops me. Sagot niya. Wala na akong nagawa kung hindi ang iikot ang mga kamay sa kanyang liig at yakapin siya ng mahigpit na mahigpit. He hugged me back even tighter and said his words again, but directly to me and not in third person. I love you, and I will love you in any way that I can, and will continue to do so until time stops me. Baby. He solemnly promised again. Dumaan ang weekdays rito sa Maynila. Ilang preparations din ang inaatupag ko kasabay ng pag-aaral ko. All the while ensuring my father has all that he needs. Well, kapag maaga akong natatapos sa klase ay dumediretso ako sa opisina ni Gab at kapag naman ginagabi ay siya ang sumusundo sa akin. Sometimes, we could have a fancy dinner at an Italian restaurant, but other times, it could be a movie night turned make-out night turned sleepover at my place. Gab took so much place in my room that my pillows smells like him, and it was the best. Ang gaan ng mga umaga ko at ang ginhawa ng mga gabi ko. Sobrang sarap pala mabuhay kapag masaya ka at walang problema. This life that I did not plan was what I have now and would forever want to take care of it. Pero naputol ang kapayapaang yun isang umaga nang pauwi na sana ako ng Cebu. Well, I thought you're gonna stay here. Napahinto ako sa pintuan ng aking kondo. My half-sister Alina, Thomas, was at my doorstep one sunny morning. Her elegant composure was as immaculate as ever as it rose in dominance against her soft yet strong eyes. Hair in a clean-up dough, white peplum dress and a Marc Jacobs in hand. I know she meant business. Nakita ko ulit sa kanyang dating Alina. Sa pag-aakalang siya si Beth ay diretso kong nabuksan ang pinto. At sa pag-aakalang kaya pang maayos ang mga lamat ay pumayag ako sa alok niyang kumain. How was Tito Nick? I heard what happened. Her first words to me once were seated in a nearby resto. Still in recovery but he's doing fine, sagot ko. And you? How are you? Ngumiti ito ng malumanay. The ever-classy and confident smile of hers. I'm good, thanks. Ngumiti na lamang akong tipid. That's good to hear, sagot niya. Pareho kaming tahimik, ilang sandali niya akong pinagmasdan. Parang may hinahanap na kung ano. Kapag nagtatama ang mga mata namin ay ngumingiti lamang siya. Dumating na rin ang mga orders, ngunit hindi ko yun magalaw at maging siya ay ganun din. Umayos ako ng upo. I've also heard some things, Chris. I find it hard to believe on my part and also rumors are just rumors after all at the end of the day. Hindi ba? Panimula niya ulit. I had known her for so long, maybe it's the blood running on both our bloodstreams that I get to understand her right at this moment. She was having difficulties in asking me these questions and even being with me today. Pero sinagot ko siya. You can tell me what it is, so maybe I can tell if it's just rumors or not. Sabay tingin ko sa lamesa. You and Gob got engaged. Is that true, Chris? Tanong niya. Slowly, I looked at her. It was seeing something too religiously built and crumble into pieces. I get to see that firsthand and just inches away. Buo man ang kanyang boses, ay sapat na ang mga mata para makitang nadudurog at nawawasak siya. But upon seeing it, I also figured this too was the hardest on my part. Halos buong buhay ko ay puro mga kapatid ko lamang ang mga nakakasama ko. My birthdays were always the highlight of my years because of them. Ang mga pangmatrikula ko noon, mga damit ko at iba pang mga pangangailangan. My siblings provided me the love I needed when I was still a child and even now. I was betraying someone that helped me throughout the years and she's sitting right in front of me. Yes. Isang salitang kay tagal kong sinabi at kay tagal niyang hinintay. Immediately, her precious eyes shut themselves but it opened silent waterfalls. Tahimik, mabilis na mabilis at tuloy-tuloy ang kanyang mga luha. But despite the tears, she nodded and smiled. Asawa ko siya. She reminded me but it sounded like it was for her. I offered her some tissue. She politely nodded again and received some. Nang kumalma na ito ay mapula na ang ilong at mga pisngi. She looked like fallen angel. Asawa ko pa rin si Gab, Chris. Siya ang asawa ko. Mariin niyang pag-uulit. Umiling ako sa kanya, ngunit mas nakita ko lamang ang determinasyon sa kanyang mga mata. Napalunok ako. Gusto ko mang magsalita ng mga kung ano ay pigil na pigil ako sa mga totoong nalalaman ko. You were invited to our reunion here. Alam mong asawa ko siya kahit noon pa. I know you're having problems emotionally that year dahil naglayas ka, pero hindi yun sapat na dahilan, Chris. Walang sapat na dahilan para makasira ka ng pamilya. What? Sagot ko. Napatanong. What are you talking about? Why are you putting that against me, ate? Hindi ko yun nagawa dahil doon at lalong hindi ako naninira ng pamilya. Napaawang ang bibig ko nang umukit ang sakit. I know what you've been through and it's perfectly fine. I understand, okay? I'm here for you, just like always. Muling tumulo ang mga luha niya. Halos manghina ako nang mapabaling sa iba ang aking tingin. Nang hinawakan niya ang mga kamay ko sa ibabaw ng lamesa ay muli ko siyang tiningnan. I know you still crave the attention that your parents failed to give you in your childhood. Nalulungkot ka lang, Chris, kaya mo yung nagagawa ang mga bagay na ito. Stop it. I am over that part of my life, so stop it, sagot ko. No, Chris. You need someone to open your eyes to your madness. This is madness. Kahit ako pa ang makapagpaintindi sa'yo ay ayos lang sa akin kahit masakit, basta maintindihan mo lang. Alin ang iintindihin ko? Aren't you hearing yourself? Sagot kong patanong sa kanya. That you're lonely and you need attention. Kaya mo nagagawa ang lahat ng ito ay dahil gusto mo ulit na nakuhanin ka ni mama. Hindi ba yan ang gusto mo nung mga bata pa tayo? You flew all the way from the south just so you can tell me that? Huh? Naririnig mo ba ang mga sinasabi mo, Alina? Ginagawa ko lang ito para sa kapakanan mo. I even scheduled all your therapy sessions para mas lalong mapabuti ang lagay mo, Chris. We all care for you. Humigpit ang hawak niya sa mga kamay namin at hinawakan ang aking pisngi. I didn't even know I was crying. My tears fell in horror because of what she has to say. Therapy? Para sa akin? Now that you have your father, I'm sure you wanted our mother too. That's why you opted to find the perfect reason to fit in our family again. I was told by the psychiatrist that you will see. Nangyayari raw yun talaga sa mga taong nahirapan ng mga pagkabata nila. Yun pa ang mga dagdag ni Alina. I had a rough childhood and I won't ever deny that. But for you to use that against me? And you even told people about it without my consent? Without my real feelings because you only told them parts that you know? Medyo tumaas ang aking boses. Anger and denial are also part of it. Mahal na mahal kita kaya ako nagagawa ito. I don't want you to lose yourself in the process. Calm down, please. Paano akong kakalma kung sarili kong kapatid ay ganyan ang tingin sa akin? You're manipulating everything to your benefit. Your truths will never be mine in any way. Can't you see the whole truth, Alina? You are the one being in denial here. My angry tears fell down and melted on my cheeks. Abot-abot ang tahip ng dibdib ko sa nararamdaman. Ang kapatid sa aking harapan ay ngumiti lamang ng mapait sa akin. Alina nodded her apologies to the other tables and even to the servers. She offered me a tissue and smiled again. Your engagement to my husband is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard, but I chose to be the bigger person. I forgive you if you promise to help yourself too. Anya habang pinupunasan ang mga luha ko. Napangisi na lamang ako nang tabigin ang kanyang kamay. Gulat itong napatigil ngunit naging seryoso ang mukha. He's not your husband, Alina. That's the whole truth. Gab Di Amiano is my husband for years. In fact, he's now handling our company and all our operations. He is the chief executive and our companies are soon to merge. Tama na ang kahibangan mo, Chris. Please, for your sake, don't be like your father and repeat history. I bit my lips so hard I tasted blood. Pigil na pigil akong sumigaw sa boses niyang kalmado at kampante. I wanted to scream so bad to make her stop all of this. Alam kong nahihirapan ka sa mga nangyayari. Wala kang mga magulang na nagmamahal sa'yo at wala kang matatakbuhan. Ginagawa ko lamang ito para sa pamilya ko at pamilya kita, Chris. I love you so much and I don't blame you. But Gab is my family too. Now, I'm doing this for my family. Don't call him that. Umiling ako ng ilang beses. He is my husband and I love him. We faced so many trials together and overcome them together. These are challenges along the way and I'm proud of it. She smiled gently at me. Alina then stood up and kissed my temples. I watched her take out her wallet and say her apologies again to the crew and most of the people. Panay pa rin ang bulungan at tingin ng mga tao kahit pa siya'y umalis na at iniwan akong mag-isa. At dito na muna natin tatapusin ang ating pagbabasa sa ngayon. Kung nagustuhan mo ang episode na ito, pahit naman ng like button dyan at comment down below. At kung hindi ka pa nakapag-subscribe sa aking channel, hit the subscribe button at bell all na rin para ma-notify ka kung kailan lalabas ang bago nating upload. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig at hanggang sa muli!